right, let's start again. Welcome everyone again to the room. We're gonna continue on with our program. And our second speaker today, I'm so glad to introduce, is David Villanueva, and Maya Nahuatl activist, fellow Spanish speaker. And from Squilax, that's where you're driving in today, but really transnational activist, and bringing with him today Elder Sess. So we're so honored and so happy to have you here as our guest today. Thank you so much for joining us. David.
Yeah, okay.
David, I should say. Take it away. Thank you so much.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Yadiksin Wenwen. I'll say it Chuchwinuch. I'll say Kwalin Tlanetzli. Proper ways. I want to say thank you to the land where we are here today. I want to say thank you to our elder here present, Sases. Our elder Sases is from the Shkwatmuk people from this area, and he's one of our hereditary chiefs of this area too. Before it got put into reserves and put government officers as chiefs, there was chieftainship that followed through blood lineages and tribal laws, and he's one of them in here, Sases. As well, I wanted to introduce him that way as a water protector, Sases. Sases has been is a residential school survivor as well here in Kamloops. And then he comes from a very strong lineage of very spiritual people in this area. His dad was our Sundance chief in this area too. And protecting water and the land all his life. He made it, raised his kids to be that way. And just recently got incarcerated for protecting the water here in Kamloops too. And just got out of prison in December itself. You know there's something wrong in a system when they want to imprison 72-year-olds for protecting water. And you know they know that they hit a nerve when they do that, you know. So, and myself, my proper name is Sitlayaud Kwautli. In my language, that will translate to the one who walks amongst the stars. I was born in a place called Quesaltepeque in Cuscatlan, respectively named. Cuscatlan, after the colonization, they've been called El Salvador, just because of our resistance. And then they call us the Savior, just to put the church imposed into us. The name got given to me by a Cree woman in a pipe ceremony. And then I've been living in this area for about 10, 11 years, coming in and out for about 14 years. Prior to this, I was living next door in the Sinixt people. Prior to that, I was living up north in Masset, Haida. And then prior to that, I was in Mohawk territory and Montreal area. And then prior to that, I traveled all over, as I was born in the middle of an uncivilized war, as a child, in the village of my mom of Quesaltepeque, we got wiped out, So my mom took us out of there, and I was trained to be war child, militia, rebel, activist, protector, like whatever it takes, survivor, When I came to this place called so-called Canada, it was a shock, But then we landed in Mohawk territory, Six Nations territory, and then I found out that there's Native people here too, and then that they were doing resistance work right then too. I came right in the middle of the Oka crisis, and my family supported them, over there. I collected since then Anger was my first emotion, you know. And then where I'm at right now is just gratitude, you know, of everything we have, you know. And thank you to our host here too, Monica, you know. Thank you very much for inviting us, and thank you for all of you to being here and present. And I pulled these instruments here. When I take these out, this is real, you know. I got given to me as responsibility to carry with me. These two feathers took me about 20 years to get, you know, to get two feathers, you know. This one here represents the people of the south of the condor, and the people here of the north and the eagles. And then from the elders of the Wirrarika people, they gave me this. I said, when you take them, you can only speak the truth, you know. So I'm here to speak the truth, you know, and then radical relationships, you know, and I like both words. Pardon my accent, I speak 5 languages. In my travels, I learned 5 languages. 2 of them are native languages, and 3 of them are French, Spanish, and English. You know, I understand Italian, Portuguese, and Creole, you know. I have no education whatsoever, you know. You know, I have no degrees, but I always say, you know, this morning I graduated, actually. I say, I graduated this morning. Creator gave me life again. I graduated at life. I woke up alive. That's why we say in this language over here, chuchwinuch, to say kind of good morning. But it doesn't say good morning. It translates more or less, we made it through the night. And that's how you greet in the morning to each other. Chuchwinuch, we made it through the night. But you're going to see an elder, don't say that to them. That's why I said Yedikshin Wenwen. You know, that's for the older ones that are here out of respect. I'm just a young man. You know, Yedikshin Wenwen is like, we see another day, you know. So a small introduction like that, I can elaborate on where I'm from and what happened. But radical relationship, the word radical, you know, to go to the root of it, they said, to the source of it. And when we say to the source of it as an indigenous perspective of it, you know, is we go back to our creation stories. Our history is based on those knowledge that got passed on orally to one another in ceremonies, in rituals, in a fire, you know. And I got given lots of those from different places. You know, I sun dance with the Blackfoot, Navajos, Lakotas, Shquatmo, you know. I winter danced over here, you know. I've been traveling, working with people of the Shuar people of the Quechua people, Wirrarika people, Zapotec people, Mixteca people. I made it all the way to Dene territory or Northwest territories, you know, carrying these, you know. And all those creation stories, when I collect them, they all come to the same, you know. You know, the root source of how we were at the beginning of creation. The root source is that we were one. We were all sharing this world in a positive way. It was a point where they say it was so good that mankind, masculine, didn't even have the concept of how to hurt a woman, a feminine. That point that those things wasn't even invented. So to go to the root source is to go right to the very beginning of how everything got created, and to understand that all the trees and all the plants and all the rivers and the water in here didn't all came at the same time. That everything was created accordingly to a purpose. You know. So it would be that, say, example, man got open a portal, the children of the sun opened a portal and darkness came into the world. Man kind of had possessions, possessed by spirits. Then men start hurting women, talking to them in a certain way. In our languages, there's no word to offend a woman. So at that point, the grandfathers, they said, go find a medicine to heal that. Go find a plant. And they created a plant to go heal the man. Another disease will come, another plant will come. We say for each disease there's a plant to cure it. To live in this world, everything is curable, we say too. Everything is curable. Unless it's your divine time or time that your purpose is accomplished and go back, everything is curable. And we can do that. To the root source. And then it brings to that word, relations. So by doing that, you're realizing that you're related not just to your mom and dad, but you're related to everything. Because you have a piece of everything in you. That's how they got explained to me. We communicate with those things that have energy. If we get out of the chemical reality, there's an energetic level to it. And that's the point where we work. So now we're talking about unity too. I see the word in here. Another topic was unity. And it says, yes, we want unity, but what are we going to do with that unity? What are we trying to accomplish with that unity? In the unity, we don't gonna agree. It's part of it. It's good to have disagreements. It's good to agree that we don't agree. You know? It's healthy. You know? But in our way of seeing that, we have two rules that we follow that got given to us at the origins. And the rule of respect and the rule of love. Love and respect is our two rules. So we can disagree and still respect each other. And to love ourselves first for who we are and where we come from. So in other words, what I'm saying, in order to achieve unity, radical relationships, the whole world needs healing. The whole world needs to find that peace and love for themselves. And that's what I stand with this. I work in treatment centers now. I work with Dr. Gabor Mate in downtown East Side. You know, and we heal the people that have been affected by a system that the humans can't handle. Those lights, all of you are healers. All of you have a potential that is, if you can only imagine how powerful you are, this world can shift again. I went to temples and we had ceremonies in Mexico with a group of women. And I started singing a song over there. Really quiet, eh? And all of a sudden that song attracted police officers and militaries. And they're escorting me out of the pyramids. And I'm like, there it is. We need healing. So as I'm walking down, there's a little old man standing right there. He's dressed all in white. Old, little brown skin, child of the sun. And he looks at me and stops the police right there. The military and all of it. Said, "What's going on?" he says. I said, "Well, they're kicking me out." "Why are they doing that?" "Because I was singing." "And what were you singing?" 4 directions on calling upon all the spirits to come here and help our people, humanity. He says, where are you from? He says. Well, I said, I'm come from the people of the Nahuatl, PPL, let's say in Spanish, Nahuatl and Maya people, you know. They came from Tenochtitlan, made our way down, you know. But now I live in the north, in the land of Coyote, you know. And you come here in the center of Mesoamerica. I said, yeah, just to get kicked out. I said, I guess that's how it goes. And he's like, you're one of them. I said, one of what? He says, long time ago, right here in this center, about 2,000 years ago, they talked about this time. They already seen it. Because time ain't linear, they say. Time is circular. It repeats. So that's how our ancestors were able to see in the future. You know, connecting with those things. Technologies that don't deplete the earth, but works with it. We have those technologies still. Or people know those things. So, he says, on the time there they prayed, like gave gratitude, offerings, and there were mystical beings they talked to. In our language, we call that huri huri. And the Quechua people, they call that yuri yuri. You know it's old and it's real and it's truth when you have it in our indigenous language. Like atl, shalhua, that's water spirit. So you have it in our language, you know it's true. Huri huri in English was translated as the extraterrestrial beings, grandfathers. We talk to them. Now we're talking a whole other topic of relationships. The supernatural. Over here they call him Seklep, Coyote. That's their boss. He's the one that when creation made everything, it didn't have order. It was just created. The grass was eating deer. It looked weird. The days didn't have any sense. The sun was doing whatever it wanted. The rivers were flying and things like that, you know. And then they call upon those huri huri, extraterrestrial supernatural beings that you hear on the coast about raven, you hear over here coyote, you know. They came over here and they had this supernatural powers. They say, hey, grass, quit eating that deer. That's not your purpose. And the grass listened. So our ancestors talked to them. And they said to them, you know what? You guys don't gonna like it, but you guys have to go through it. And they said, what? Colonization's upon you now. It's gonna happen to the humans. All over. There's gonna be a darkness that's gonna come. Can't avoid it. And they're like, no. They said, the elders, we don't want that for our children. We don't want that. Is there a way to stop it? And they tried, tell you, they really tried. Sun dancers were piercing, blood everywhere, offerings of all kinds to make it happen so we can switch that. And they said, you can't. It has to happen. And they said, well, can we, avoid it by giving sacrifices? And I said, no. And then they asked, why does it have to happen? Why does it have to happen? And they said, because the lesson of unity that you're going to learn from it is going to make you a stronger race of humans. That's why you have to go through the darkness. To realize that your children, in the unity, in the healing that will happen from it, the connection they will have with everything will be a radical change to what's happening right now. So they were like, so it's for a greater purpose. And they said, yes. In order to learn about light, how can you know about light if you don't know darkness? How can you know about being happy if you've never been sad? You know? So that duality exists. Oh, meteot, we call it. Spirit of duality. Even Coyote over here was a very tricky person to be, because that person lived in duality. For every step, good step that he did, he had to create balance, and the next step has to be equally bad. That's a tough, he had no friends. You know? So they said, okay, so in order to make a better human race, to bright lights, the connection with everything, they have to go to the darkness. Yeah. And that's, they're going to call it colonization. People will forget certain elements. And the job is to remember how to be that. You know? It will be kept. And they said, so okay, can we then work it, this technology, so we can make it the best out of the worst? Yeah, we can do that. So this could have been worst. They made it so it's the best out of the worst for us. So at that time, they said another prophecy. They said, you will come to a time that you know it will kind of be the end of it, when the fish will be vaccinated. The chicken will be vaccinated. The tomato will be vaccinated. The water will be polluted. Now the foods that you eat will make people sick instead of healing them. I have a problem with donuts. And sweets, you know? It says, when that time will come, you must, people, find the bridge between the two worlds. Between the world that we can call now the globalized world, globalization world, and our spiritual natural world. Have to find a bridge, bring them together. That bridge, that unity there will unite the people that will make them go back to higher superior beings. So we go into, radical, to the root of it. And I shared with you some of those root sources of our tradition. This story is history. We are history in the making. This conversation right here, right now. Yet, there's something that got put into us at that time too. Through our trauma and through our abuse, our ego rised up. Our ego is the one that makes us compete to one another. To think, I know more than this person. And they teach us now, since we're little kids, right off the bat, they teach you that. You know? I raised 6 children. I have 3 grandchildren right now. You know? I've seen them go through all of it. You know? Like right at school, competing, who has better grades? Who's gonna graduate? If you don't graduate, the person feels, oh man, I didn't graduate. You know? Oh, what is, beautiful Indian women, native women, but they don't want to look native. Dye their hair, trying to make it look like the ones on TV, when our features are beautiful. I was part of that. I got taught that. I thought I looked ugly for the longest time. So they teach us things like that. So our ego makes us like, no, how are we gonna cope with our trauma? Our trauma response to our hurt and pain. And there becomes the division. When you start working at it, I travel all over the world. I'm going to Maori next year, for a month and a half. talk about the same thing, helping young people coming out of the jail system, indigenous people coming out of the jail system, how to cope with all of that. The world needs healing. To remember who we are originally, and to live in a world where we don't have to compete to one another. That we love and respect ourselves so much that we accept the other person's difference and different points of views. Because we can talk about problems all day and night. We know the problems. We know what it is. We don't gonna lie to us. You know? So how is the solutions? Let's talk about solutions then. Our people are offering healing as part of one of the solutions. To be able to cope with our hurts and pains in a healthy way. When they get given these responsibilities, I conduct ceremonies. I got given with me ceremonies and bundles. Tobacco ceremonies. I bring my tobacco everywhere I go. I conduct peyote ceremonies. I work with the plant medicine world. Those scientists out there, they call them psychedelics. I'm like, man, that's very hurtful. I said, because we applaud Western medicine. And even go back to it, my uncle once, he got told, what do you think of Western civilization? They ask him like that. And my uncle, he looks at it and says, well, that's a nice concept. You know? You know, that's a nice concept, Western civilization. But me, I applaud Western medicine. They saved my life 3 times. I died 3 times. I was flatlined in the hospital. And I was like, oh my God, again. You know, and then the surgeons came and did surgery. You know, they took things, fixed me. So I am really grateful for, especially the nurses. You know, the surgeons come cut you up, doctor. Oh yeah, give him more morphine. But the nurses are really ones that really heal you there. Why? Because the nurses know exactly what the patient needs. Because after, say, we get given instruments. But when we were born, Creator gave us instruments too. The creation. The creator of your understanding, whatever they may be. You know? My great spiritual leader, Don Rafa, you know, even the Pope himself got sick and nobody can heal him. He called upon my teacher to come and heal him in the Vatican. His little Indian man who had kind of like that. He barely speaks Spanish. He just like, just sing some songs, pass the feathers around. So I know how to heal you. You know? He started doing that when he was 13. There's people like that exist in this world. So the doctor opened me up because his instruments, they gave us this. But so when we were created from somewhere, a thought. Parents had a thought and were created. Like everything in here. Everything created here is just a thought from someone. You know? So he gave us that, and from that thought, the creation gave us eyes, a heart, liver, thyroid gland, pineal gland, brain, bones, and wrapped all of that in a skin. All the instrument that the spirit that we are will utilize to make a better life here. You know. So when they open that and remove something, it's part of your sacred bundle they just removed. So what does that create? That creates trauma. That creates a trauma right there. You know? So me, I'm like, I applaud that. Western medicine, surgeons and all that, great. But after that is done and is healed the body, the trauma that is created, now you need to have emotional healing, spiritual healing. That's how I heal people in heavy opioids addiction right now. you know? Heavy. Like from somebody doing 2 grams of heroin a day to completely sober in 3 months. You know? This technology to do that. So that's what I wanted to talk when I hear this. And my sister here, you know. I wanted to talk about a solution, or how to bring that radical relationships with each other, how to bring that unity, how we are related. Somebody says, we say, all my relations. We mean it. We are related to every single cellular level, to everything. You want to get scientific about it. They did scientific tests on the people from here all the way to the coast of Haida. They took samples of DNA from them. And they found salmon DNA in there too. You know? So it's all proven. How are we going to heal? We look on the world, here, indigenous people, we look at the world of the natural. We go to the water. My elder here, father-in-law, he says, some people call it the universe. Universe means one, uni. He calls it the waterverse. Everything is water. We are water. We have memory. Water's alive. We say to water like rivers, lakes, waterfalls, springs, we call those international airports of the spirit. That's where they land. And that's where they come out. A mountain has gold, uranium, lithium. What is that mountain? The sunshine comes in. Those rays of the sun hits that mountain first thing in the morning. That mountain is activated from those minerals in there. This is scientific talk now. You know, and that's why I said merging both worlds. That's scientifically proven that that mountain now is activated from the rays of the sun with all those minerals and water is in there. What happens then? That everything that grows and lives in that mountain is what they call organic. That's why our people didn't need to eat 3 times a day. And eat food that grows in the mountains and the forest, and just a little bit and give you so much energy. It's medicine. It doesn't get you sick. Now you take that out of the mountain. That mountain's dead. It doesn't activate with the sun no more. They take all the copper out of there, all the lithium out of there. And for some specific reason, the spots on the planet, the whole planet is sacred, but there's certain spots that the deposits of those minerals are really more active. And there's a reason we call those sacred sites. Those are the places we go for healing, activated there. But what happened now? They're destroying those sacred sites. You know? So when you're going to go to a waterfall, to the water, and wash yourself, call your spirit, heal, drink it. But then they took away that water. Now you have no more to go heal there. You go to the water in your home and it has fluoride, phosphate, chlorine, all of that in there. You can reverse that. You know, put more water in the clean water and then it will change, you know. That's why he got arrested, for saying that to the people. Talk about relationships. In our own reserves, they made us go against each other. His own people put him to jail. That's the world we are in now. You know? And when I go back home, in what they call so-called Latin America, oh my God, it's like a wide open reservation, you know? It's wild, you know? So that's why I said, all boiled and all of that. Don't let my ego get in the way and get anger involved. But change that and put gratitude. I came here and I'm gonna go run a sweat lodge right after here at a treatment center. So all of you here, I had to share that message. Because everywhere I go, I pull these ones out and then I'm gonna go to the desert once a year and sit with all of them in there. And I bring that to it. I bring this to the fire. I say, here. Because we understand that what they call spirits, they don't eat like us. You know, they eat with smell, essence. That's why we burn smudge. That's why we do food offerings to the sacred sites. You know, this time of the year is what they call the Day of the Dead. So we honor our ancestors. So what do we do for honoring our ancestors? We feed them. And we offer food to the centers and to our altars and candles and flowers and all of that. And then they show up and they smell, you know, and they take all that essence. You know, they remember what it was to be a human. That is a beautiful thing. To be emotional, oh my God, what a beautiful thing. Even though I went through some crazy emotions. But like, I was like, well, how can this be fun? But yet for the spirit is an experience that is just unique, you know? So that's why we do that. That's why we protect water. That's why we do things like that. So I bring that message everywhere I go. And I share this message from my ancestors to all of you today like that. This message has come from like 16,000 years ago. That's how old this message and the stories are shared here, these words are shared with you. That's what they said. That's why I'm still alive. Because I have to fulfill my purpose to do what I do. If I stop doing this, boop, I go. Then my purpose is done. So I kind of trying to argue about it to make it longer, eh? So I go with the principles of my elders and stories of love and respect. Those are my two guidelines. So I not judge no one. I don't discriminate no one. I'm in love to humanity and nature. You know? I pray for my people who don't agree with me. I pray for the ones that don't like me. I pray for the ones I don't like. Yet, because I know that they might have children. And those children have nothing to do with anything. And they might play with my children. And they don't deserve. To change the world, we start with myself. You know, to heal. I was born, I get kidnapped twice. You know, talk about the trauma that got imposed. And I'm not trying to be like, my trauma is better than your trauma. No. You know, we all have submitted to all of these things. You know, we need to heal. That's where it all starts. You know. You know, so, and then I can elaborate on what kind of healing. I can go right now and I was just looking at some of you can see like, oh, this one here, you know, this needs a cleanse over here. And this one needs a clean over there. And I can see that. You know, it's too much at times. So I watch Jerry Springer to just calm me down, you know. Jerry, you know, like, and it makes it, oh, right on, humanities are so funny like that. Look at it. They're fighting over who slept with who, you know, it's like, cool. You know, like, so like that, you know, remember to laugh. You know, I bring the spirits of laughter in here with this. Because it's okay to feel good. My uncle said, you know what, nephew? I said, we're in a sweat lodge and it's hot. Oh my God, hot. And we all come out of it and we're like, ugh. Just kind of, what's going on? Our traumas are coming out in our sweat pores and it's like thinking so much about it. And he goes, you know what, nephew? I said, what? He says, I mentioned him because he's the one who gave me those two feathers. He says, it's okay to be happy. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I know you can be sad, you can be angry, you can be all kinds of things. But remember, it's okay to be happy too. It's like, yeah, that's right, Doko, thanks. I was going on a rabbit hole there. It's like, whoa, you know. And that's just utilizing water, earth, fire, air in a sweat lodge. And they said, just sticks and stones, how can you get through all of that? And I look at them and I go like this, eh? This right here is just plastic and stones. That's all that is. You know? But what does it do? You know? So I say, I accept globalization, you know? I have a vehicle. Got myself here. I accept it. but I don't make it my God. You know? I don't make it my God, it's just a tool. You know? I don't believe that destroying further the planet to create this more of them is necessary. I think it's enough of what we got. You know, we don't need to do more. My uncle would say like that, he said, you want to stop pollution on Earth? It's easy. I said, how you do that? I said, how you stop the pollution on Earth? Don't pollute. You know? So that's why I say, we know the problems, and we know the solutions too. We just sometimes to find those solutions, we have to get away from our comfort zone a little bit. You know? Get away from a little bit of our comfort zone. And I have to say, this is a very first world, quote, you know, syndrome. You know? Some of us here come from third world, fourth world, fifth world countries. You know? I don't see this as a first world country, what they call Canada. This has become a second world country. Because I lived on the streets, helping out in youth shelters, and the youngest one I seen was an 11-year-old from London, Ontario. I said, there's something wrong. This is not a first world country. So I've been right in the middle of all of it. I lived on the streets of downtown East Side Vancouver. Not as a drug addict or an alcoholic, or I was just fed up of the system. You know, humans, we thrive on being calm, like the birds, like the deer. You know, they're just like calm. That's when healing happens. And then you disturb that and you put a train, you put highways, planes, jobs. That disturbs your peace. Humans, we don't like that. You know, we like calm. Like little babies. You know, babies are the most amazing healers. You know, that's why we don't lend our babies till 8 days after they've been born to anybody to hold. Because those babies, until 8 days, they're still spirit and they're still great healers. So, mom and dad hold it. Nobody else. Now, can come auntie, but auntie's been just into a fight with the boyfriend. And is like, "Urgh," but then sees baby and is like, oh, all of a sudden is okay, you know? And then grabs that baby. What did that baby do? That baby absorbs what that auntie just brought in. You know? Now we're going into what they call karmic entanglements. Generational trauma. Things that are happening to us that we don't even know why they're happening to us and where it comes from. So I just leave it at that portion of it because there's so much to work on that, you know. It comes from our fathers when they're in the womb, how they treat the mom, you know. So much to heal, right? And I'm still healing. That's why I say when I go to treatment centers and work in there, I'm like, I'm not above any one of you in here. I'm not in competition to any of you. I just can bring a message. That's all I do, is bring a message. Solutions. You know? I'm not below you guys either. I don't let anybody step on me. I like this Dalai Lama guy. One quote he said, this Dalai Lama guy, he's like, hey, he says, compassion, peace and compassion. He teaches about that. He said, compassion for one another. But compassion doesn't mean that you're going to let yourself get it stepped on. Compassion comes with dignity. To be able to voice in a kind, gentle way. You know? So all of those things come in place. All spirituality, all knowledge, all wisdom come from the same source. To understand that. It all comes from the same. You know? So I'm not in competition with no one, you know? Yeah. Even like Christian people, you know, I talk to Christian people, you know, like, and I came to my healing portion of it. Me and Jesus Christ, we have a good thing going on, you know? he's a cool dude, you know. Me and him were like, yeah, you're right, man. Like, that's right on, you know. You know, like I've been in some ceremonies with the Amazon jungle people. I met Jesus Christ and had conversations with him in there. You know, have deep conversations with Jesus Christ. And then he told me what my father-in-law said. Next time you see the homeless person, that might be just me there too. Next time you see the drug addict, you never know, that might be just me there too. So don't judge them. You know. So I sit around, I go like this, all dressed up like this, and like sometimes my wife is just kind of like, what the heck, this guy? You know, I talk to everyone. And I would sit on the street with the homeless, hey, what's up? You know? I said, are you Jesus? He's like, what? Just asking, you know? Yeah, just making sure, bro. You know? So I like to bring the spirit of laughter in the room like that, you know, to feel good like that, you know? So all said and done, you know, I'm just a native person, you know, like First Nation, child gardener of the forest, they call me sometimes. I'm no medicine man, shaman, or anything like that. All of us have this opportunity to do that. Because when we were born, you fall sick, who do you go see? Mom and dad. Your mom and dads are your first healers ever. So they're your medicine man. They're the medicine woman. You know? So in that way, all of us have ability to heal one another. Heal ourselves. To invite that joy and love, you know? To feel good about who we are, where we come from, and what we're doing. You know? So just little points in that, and I want to say thank you to all of them, and I really learned a lot. I learned about that word radical today, what does it actually mean, you know? To go to the root source of everything, and that's what I wanted to pinpoint a little bit of the root source of maybe how we can find this relationship is through healing. And how to make to the healing is through our nature, our land, our water. For what reason? And that unity, for what reason? For our children, for the children, for the next generations to come. You know, trying to explain these things and this message in the most simple form possible. Yes. Like I explained it like that to the children. That's why I might be like funny, you know, kind of way that I explain these things, you know, because I don't have big words, because I talk to children that way. You know, so they can understand it to that level. You know, and then when I talk to, drug addicts, so sometimes I can be a crisis, boom, full on, you know, coming out of the streets. They're in the sweat lodge, and I have to be able to explain that person right there, right then, what's going on. How to bring it back from that place. So that's how I explained it. Just at the most simple terms I can. It sounds very graphic and I paint a picture of beautiful things, you know, but that's the way we can utilize then our imagination. Because you guys have a power, all of you. Like I mentioned, everything is just an idea that somebody had. It captured that from a pool of knowledge of how to do that. When we got created as humans, it got taken a piece of all of it. We came in a time of creation at a certain time. You know? And then that creation, that thing, they said the beginning of everything, and this time, there was nothing. In all creation stories, they all start the same like that. There was absolutely nothing. But to imagine that idea of nothingness, what is that? To go back to the place where not even an idea or a thought is even created. And then a thought was created, an idea, an imagination. And boom, came light, sound, and everything got created. So all those things, dragons and all that, I believe all of that, you know. Some people say they come from monkeys. Yeah, I believe they do. You know, I'm not. Some people might, and that's okay, and that's totally cool, you know. So, but when we got created as humans, we got given that same ability that is different than animals, that is different than trees and water and rocks. As humans, we got given the ability to create things and make our life the way we imagine it, through thought. Your mind is very powerful. Your thoughts are very powerful. How you think of yourself is so important. You know, it's because we created it. All of this you sitting here today came from a sequence of choice and thoughts to make you who you are right now, at this point in this place, to hear this person here with a feather in his head, All those choices you made you come over here, and then I grasped that moment in time and shoot that arrow with my message so it can reach your heart. And they can bring a little bit of peace and healing into your life. That you can use a little bit of this tool to go find a waterfall, to go find a river, and go give a little tobacco to it. And say thank you. Because there's people here that gave their life to it, in prison for it. My brother and the Shuar people right now just got murdered 3 days ago. For the same reason. So the darkness is real. It's become to a point now that it's not even about money no more. Elon Musk make like $40,000 every second. How much money he made just in my conversation here. So it's not even about money no more. Because it's not even bills, it's all in numbers. Now you have to understand that there's something else going on. There's light and there's darkness. And that's what we see. I see the big picture. The ones that are killing people with drugs, alcohol, wars. There's an entity. I got attacked by an entity last year around this time. Ooh, it hit me hard. I was just ready to, I'm done, They catch me. And they'll clean me. And they said, oh man, you got put some crazy spirits to you because you didn't put protection. I said, I don't believe in that. I said, it doesn't matter that you believe it or not, they're still there. So those are the forces we're working with. The time of war, colonization with guns and all of that, that's done. They're still doing it in some areas, just distraction is really harsh, We fought that war many years in my home. We kicked the butt of the right hand of Cortez itself. That's why they made us example, us, the people from the Nahuatl of the Maya. You're going to suffer for the next generations to come and never come back from it. Our country's a mess. I cannot go back home. They kill me as soon as I go home, talking just like this. Disappeared, not to say just killed. Disappeared, you never existed. Now that's a concept, So those warfares are still here. But it's switched, they say, into a physical war, residential school and all that. Now it's switched of what they call, and what we're fighting in here, spiritual war. That's what we're working on. We work into the unity, to the radical relationship, to make a radical change from the root source. But what does it mean, spiritual war? We're talking spiritual, we're talking spirituality, then we're talking spirits. They're killing people's spirits. How did they do that? Erase their memory of who they are. That's why they utilize hooties are good ones, and there's really horrible hooties. This is their technology right here. So it's not a god. It's just a tool. And look how they have taken our youth. Our teenagers.
Yeah.
How this is stealing, sucking the living soul spirits out of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they go right to them two radical places. They go right to the source of what's going on. You know? So that's what we're fighting. One of my kids, she don't live with me, she live with her mom. I'm not perfect, like I said, I'm not above anyone, eh? But teenager, she's 13, and she calls me crying, I said, what's going on? My mom took my cell phone. Oh. It's gonna be okay, girl. So thank you again for your patience. And I wanted to say, if I said or acted or did anything right here in this time that it might have offended or hurt anyone, please, I apologize. It's not my intention to do that. I just came share a message of my people through a perspective of our indigenous ways. And my words can carry weight and can trigger little things too. So that's not my intention. Please forgive me if I did that. I say tlaso kamatli, say padush, say pamparios, say kuksham. Kuksham in his language, huamakshin. They say thank you like that. You serve the ladies, kuksham, kukshachan. Kuksham is not really thank you. It translates one word. It says, you saved my life. So I say kuksham to all of you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
David, for your words and for sharing with us. I wonder if you would entertain some questions or
Yeah, please, any questions? I got trained to answer questions.
Thank you so much. I see people with their hands up.
Yeah, please ask.
When you ask, let's, I saw your hand first, then remind me of your names. I'm so sorry. I need to. Kelechi and Kaylee. And then I saw another hand. Moses. Perfect. So, Kelly, Kelechi, Moses, in that order. And then I'm going to repeat the question over here so that it gets grabbed because we have the microphones over here. So, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll repeat your question.
It's not fully formed in my brain, but
Okay.
it is related to when you talk about anger and how that, like when you first arrived here, you felt this anger and now you feel gratitude. And I'm curious what your thoughts are about that process. And like, I feel like I'm in a place of having a lot of anger and trying to like accept that that's part of the process potentially, or maybe like, I don't know, some people often talk about how we should be nonviolent all of the time and not have anger and these sorts of things. But I'm curious your perspective on that.
Yeah.
I'm going to repeat her question, which quickly, Kelly, right?
Katie.
Sorry, Katie. Katie, I won't forget now. She's asking about your process to go from anger to gratefulness, and if you could illuminate that, please.
I'm gonna utilize the example of my 13-year-old. When she called me, I was in the middle of a funeral in Alert Bay, and she calls me, and she's crying, and she's mad. It's like, sometimes I see myself as a firefighter, like that. There's a little fire going over there, energy, anger, like that. I'll put water in it. I said, feel it. Go through it. Acknowledge it. You're entitled to feel angry. You are totally okay to do that. It's totally right to do it. Then you absorb it, you feel it, and then you let it go. And when you let it go for a little bit, you're gonna find yourself in a place of calm and peace. Then I teach meditation. Go to the water, say. And then when you kind of find that place where that anger is put aside, you just kind of go, why do I feel like that? Why trigger that? And then you go to that radical, that root of it. It's a reaction of a hurt. And it's valid. And you don't have to forgive that person for it. You don't have to. You want to get rid of that thought, well, just get rid of it. You trying to figure out to forgive and to find forgiveness and how, it's just going to consume your whole day, life, everything. Every time you look at the mirror, you'll see that. So you created it for you. That person that did that is not even real. He's already gone out probably out of your life. You know? So then you look at yourself and say, okay, well, screw that then. Why would I ask so much time do that? I feel good not thinking about it. And I don't have guilt about it. And I'm not going to doubt that process. And I'm going to go to the water and give that to it. And then to understand myself how I went from that anger. I came to this country. And I was angry. I didn't want to come here. The difference with a lot of people who immigrate here, they have a choice to come here. I did not want to come here. I got forced to be here. You know. My home taken away. My family, genocide. So I was angry at all of it. I wanted to, you know, my parents were very, very militant, and they were not the joyful kind. You know, they were very, very, very militant, you know. They all fought in the war as rebels. You know, my auntie got in prison for like 4 years, tortured every single day, all day long, you know. So I was very angry. And I started blaming everybody about my misfortune. Until I started taking responsibility for my own life. And then I understood that knowing something and understand something is two different things. So I knew what happened. I knew there's all this. I went through a traditional way to heal with that. You know? And then through all of that I realized, look where I'm at now. You know, I have children, do all this life. Why am I gonna complain? Even this morning I was talking to them, you know. Ah man, 40 degrees Celsius would be nice right about now, you know. You know. And yet, why would I complain of the fresh air over here right now? To transform that in gratitude. I graduated this morning. I woke up alive. I made it through the night. You know. And to practice gratitude, to practice those things, is a practice. It takes effort. I explained this is like you get shot an arrow through it. The arrow is not all the way through, it's halfway through it. How do you pull an arrow once it's in there? If you pull it like this, you might just die along the process, bleed out. The way you do it is you have to push the arrow all the way through. Snap that arrow point, and then you can remove it. But to do that, sometimes you're just gonna look at that arrow. That's all I can do. And then you exercise through medicines, meditations. That's why I said technology, go to the water, go to the mountain, spend in solitude, talk to the wind. Because sometimes spirits or humans are pushing that arrow and throw you more arrows. So you just want to go to a place where the spirits of nature lives. And those spirits out there, they will just support you. They will give you peace. And then you can look at those arrows in there. And then you can grab them. It's like, oh, here I go. Push it, push it, push it. It's not easy. I'm not gonna tell you that there's a pill to quick fix everything. It takes effort. But it's good effort because it makes your life longer. That process of healing. Finding that gratitude. So you push, and you push, and you push, and you push. 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters, oh, I went an inch. And eventually that arrow goes all the way through. The breakthrough. Oh my God. You look at it, whoa, snap it. Maybe you ask for help at that time. Don't be afraid to ask for help. That person comes, I can't touch it. Help. That person trained like that will come, take that point out of it. Take that out of it. Thank you. You know? That doesn't stop there though. That spiritual arrow, that anger, that trauma, that hurt that happened, that feeling, that emotional thing is pulled out, that spiritual arrow. Now in your body there's a hole still. Now you need to heal that too. It's a process. How do you heal that hole then? That's when there's a plant for everything to heal. Then there's an arrow there. That arrow might have come from a time of grief. It attacks your lungs. Grief attacks lungs. Anger attacks your guts. Liver, pancreas, kidneys, digestive system. That's why a lot of people who drink in the morning, they'll feel grumpy, angry, because their liver is attacked. We think not with our head, we think with our guts. Healthy guts, healthy eating, healthy habits makes healthy digestive system, liver, kidneys, pancreas, gallbladder. It makes balanced chemicals in your brain. You know, it's all connected, right? So it's learning how to work with your bundle, sacred bundle, right? Then you 5 plants. Okay, this calendula, this comfrey, you know, plants. There's aloe vera. There's all these plants that get created at that time to heal those wounds. And the lungs, oh, there's bear root. Oh, there's usnea. Oh, there's all of these plants to heal the lung. You start ingesting those plants, talking to them, giving offerings, because in order to receive something, you have to give something. Reciprocity was a word. You have to give something in order to receive something. The plants will heal that body. And the thing is, whoever threw that arrow at you, it can be the globalized world that's been throwing those arrows at you. It's something they don't count on it. Is after you heal that and they're taking it away, you will be able to tell your story. Or what happened to you and how you made it. And as a woman, you can save thousands of lives from that alone. Love and respect yourself, knowing who you are. You know, by healing yourself, you can help thousands of others. That's why I say all of you are very powerful people.
We have another question,
Yeah.
Kelechi.
Hope that answered. Yeah.
Thank you very much. You have really spoken to our emotions. And my question is this. As an indigenous, and seeing the indigeneity of the indigenous people, how have you people been able to deconstruct and change the cultural genocide that tend to eradicate your spirituality, your religion, your institution, and your tradition in these years past?
I'm going to repeat the question for the live feed. Kelechi is asking how do, and correct me if I'm wrong, how does the indigeneity, how do indigenous peoples deal with the cultural genocide that has happened at all levels of human existence in indigenous cultures? Is that right?
Yeah, I like that. That's something that I'm still practicing. That's still current, you know. Me too, I've become like straight up genocide, right? My mom is the only one survivor of my family on her side, you know. And then the longest time, you know, it happened to me where I didn't like to be called indigenous. You know, all the way down to institutions like United Nations, they said, oh no, they declare extinct. So they don't exist no more. We came back. Now the United Nations, oh no, that's right, they exist. You know, how do we do that, right? How we come back from the dead like that? Well, we talk to the dead, my friend. And those are the technologies that we talk about. Learn your language, they say. I said, this is real. From an eagle, condor. All of us in this planet come from a place of tribal people. All of us are indigenous in that way. All of us come from a tribal experience. That it is in Germany, that is in Ireland, that is in Scotland, Africa, India, Asia, here. We all come from tribal places. From a system, go ahead, from a system where we understood trade, and we had languages for that. You see, there's a part of that colonization here in this continent, of what they call Americas, that is, I learned too. I learned that prior to the Spaniard people coming over here, we already had contact with the world. African people been here, Asian people been here, Norwegian people been here, Russian people been here, and we went over there too. Living in Haida, they talk how they come, their language, again, it comes to the language. Their language is not really related to any of the West Coast people. It's related to the Maori and the Hawaiians. So they had contact prior to the Spaniard people. The difference that it does is like when they will come over here and we'll go over there, we'll have a whole ceremony before we put their canoes down, if we can land ashore. What's your purpose? We come here to trade. Mesopotamia, Chief Joseph had a medallion, Idaho. And then when the British showed up there, he gave that medallion to one of the generals. He said, "This belongs to you," Chief Joseph said. And I says, "What?" "Yeah, this has been given to me from generations, grandpa, 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 grandpa." And he looks at it, and that medallion still exists as a museum. It has hieroglyphics, markings of Mesopotamia in it. And that's how long ago we already were in contact with the people on the other side. In their language, we communicate with nature. It's very important. That's why the first thing they did over here when they came is they took our language out. How do we recover that? We go back to the mountain. We have medicines to deal that with plants. You can learn one word in your original traditional language. From there, something starts. From there, we have technology in ceremonies. Because we understand beyond the chemical realm. That is really deep what you asked. On how we recover that. Yeah, and that's how we do it. Resilience doesn't just mean stand against a pipeline. Resilience means I'm gonna learn my language now. Once you learn your language, there's songs that come with that too, tribal songs. Because all those tribal technologies, wherever the world we are, is to communicate with nature. And not with nature. We understand then, when the people who teach you that between the living and the dead, there's no difference. And you can still communicate with the dead. And they will teach you that. And that's how I learned my language again. A language that they said disappeared. You know? And now I can say, Tlasocamatl meteotzin. Ikni utlis iwaltzin in Shikiewa meteotzin. I can say those things. Something that I was taken away completely. You know? Because once you learn that, you gain something. Once you learn your language, your culture, your songs, your ceremonies, everything that goes through it, to whatever in the world you come from as indigenous people of the planet, you gain self-respect. You gain self-love. When you gain that, then you not only know what you learned, but you understand it now. You know? And in the process of that, there will be anger for the injustices. And that's the work I was talking to my sister, about how to process that. And transform that anger, accept it, and then gratitude. And then with gratitude is the key when you go to those places that your ancestor did to create things the way you think about it. Once you know and understand it, all of that self-love, self-respect, then you gain something else from that. You gain what they call a purpose of what you're actually supposed to be doing here. That we were not to be machines. We are living creatures of love. When I learned that, I became a father. The most underrated job in the world. A father. But not only a father. Then that little child came to me and says, I love you, Daddy. Not only a father, now I'm a dad. Given a title from the most sacred thing in this planet, a child, a human child. And then from there I learned how to be a stepdad. Go for it, brother. Learned it. And we need people. We need help. That's why I'm sharing all of this here. This makes me emotional. Because the world depends on us right now. Our children depend on us right now. You know? So go for it, brother. You're right there. Asking that question is because you've seen it. And you want to know how to get there. And I just told you how to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. You really touched my heart and inspired me based on your bravery, how brave you are. You are very brave. I can see a sense of resilience in you. You want to make a change in the world. So my question is, in the course of your journey to be an advocate or activist to redeem humanity from the hands of perpetrators, the evil ones, what are some of the challenges that you face? If you can share that with us. And then also giving birth to children in this modern world, where they are already indoctrinated with the world in which we are now. How easy or difficult are you finding it to change their worldview, to accept what happened to indigenous people in the past and presently, to be there for you and all other people when one day we are no more in the world, to champion the culture, to protect the culture and the land for which they stole it from you guys. How is it that going on?
That was a long one. Thank you so much for your words. Moses says that you have touched his heart with your presentation. Thank you so much for that. And what challenges do you face as an activist for Indigenous people to look after the land and look after the unity and look after the children? Am I right, Moses? Did I miss anything? Is that good? Okay.
Challenges every day, my friend. You know, challenges every day. As soon as I step into the world, I said I was not going to say it, but I'm going to say it. We live in a cannibalistic world. Vampire world. What it preys on the weak. What it makes money of the one that are hurt. You know? So yes, as Indigenous people, we feel that every day. Racism, feminists, all kinds, of negative things, I don't want to emphasize on the negative, but at this point, the way I see it in the work or the big picture, working with addiction, say, yes, in this area is the indigenous people that I work the most. I have worked with people that work in the prison system at this point, and this is 60% of the people in the jail system are indigenous people under 30 years old, serving life sentences. You know? So, yeah, we face all of that all the time. How do I gonna put a solution to that more than facing the points of what creates all of those things that I face? But I like to focus on the solution or how I deal with it. And to that, you know, when the people go 3 months in rehab or treatment and they get out of there, and then I'm like, man, 3 months is too little time. You need at least a year to a year and a half. And in 3 months, you just gain something, and then you go back into that vampire world. It's very dangerous. So keep coming back to me in the sweat. Keep calling me. I do this one exercise to go face the world. Because me, I have to have protection all the time. Because of who I am. Because knowing something, then it gives you responsibility. Knowledge is responsibility. You know? So I cannot play the game as, I didn't know I made that mistake. No, because if I know, how can I say that? I already know. So I do this exercise every morning to reinforce. I go with tobacco. This tobacco, we don't smoke it. This tobacco, we take it to the nose, we put it in the eyes, the juice, ears, drink it. Protection. Early in the morning, I was up at 3:30 this morning, you know. Do that right there, tobacco in the eyes, charging energy, you know. And then I look in the mirror, wash my face, brush my teeth, look in the mirror and I say, man, you're cool, dude. I love you, David. I love you, David. You know, maybe today nobody will tell you that. Maybe today the challenge you're going to face as soon as you go out there for being me will be, why is he dressed like that? Who does he think he is to have a feather in his head? Racism, judgments, and all kinds, brother. Look at him. He has tattoos everywhere. You know? All kinds of face. But because I made that little exercise in the morning, I go out of that door being like, arrows are coming at me. I'm like, boo, you know, I just smile back, and then I say, how am I going to react to it? You know, boo. It took a while to learn to do that. Like I said, it takes time, you know. But in the world, you're going to go out there, and they're going to judge you as soon as they see you. You know, they're going to create all these things, and those arrows they throw at the people are everywhere. Women, oh my goodness, in this world here, my wife says that to me. He said, the male, he says, do you know, because I was saying to my stepdaughter that one time, she's like, oh, it looks so beautiful, that makeup, the way you put it. I said that to her like that. I didn't mean anything, right? But she says, hey, don't do that, to my stepdaughter. I said, why? Because you know how many men out there are saying that to her with wrong intentions? And that's a 13-year-old little young woman. So as man, I face all of that. But again, in something I do right here with the work I do, and I'm changing that back, is give the power back to the woman. Giving back the power to the feminine. To have a voice back into this world. I know a lot of men will be like, what the heck? We too, we have, no. So those are the things, and how we're going to deal with that is showing that self-love first. Because then when I go with myself, I love myself, I don't need to show that to everyone and boast and be arrogant or egotistic or anything like that. And create the same energy that gets thrown at me. All those problems. So that's how I deal with that. You know, and it was very hard. As growing up, you know, people will call me an Indian and I said, let's fight. That's how I dealt with it. Now with love and respect, I deal with that. Hope that can answer a little bit your question like that, brother.
It just dawned on me that we have another microphone. So
Yeah.
I don't need to repeat.
So this is for Saucy.
Sauces, yeah.
Sauces. I know that there are water keepers in Canada, and they do great work, and I don't want you to feel like you're alone. So how can I help?
That's it. Yeah, go ahead. Tell them sauces.
Looking back at your, like you say, your roots, and we are all tribal people. So, and one thing that we have lost since Indian residential school, maybe 1960s, is dress code. Women gotta start wearing dresses, because that circle at the bottom of the dress represents everything in the water verse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So go back to that. Every single person, like if I look around here right now, there's mostly women in here, not too many men. So we're going to go back to the root.
Yeah.
To start wearing a dress again. I call it a dress code.
So am I permitted to wear a
Yeah.
dress?
Yes, every single person, every single woman in here. If you look back at your history, your tribal people, we always wear dresses before. In the 1960s, they started wearing pants. And when you wear a pant, you split your power. You split your power. But if you're wearing a dress, you represent you protect everything in the whole waterverse when you wear that dress.
So he's saying, help us
Yeah.
and protect us. That's how you can help. Everybody can wear the ribbon skirts. Yes, everybody can. It's not just for indigenous people. It's what the power of the women is. That's what he's saying.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, David, for having this conversation with us today. And there was something you said, and that's the validation we've gotten, because it's not about competing.
No.
It's not about invalidating.
No.
You mentioned that a surgeon has done his work.
Yeah.
And it's good. Technology has advanced things. It's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
But we are not invalidating, and that's the Eurocentric mentality and system. You try to see that the indigenous way is not a way, and the civilized way is the way. If you had not mentioned that you don't have any education or degree, nobody would have known. But we've made it look, if you don't have education, you can't go anywhere. If you don't have education, you can't be anything. Today, you've touched most of us better than anybody, even if somebody has a PhD. I'm not invalidating that. You've touched on something that it's not until you have a PhD you can do that. So thank you so much for your words. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you.
Thank you. My teacher, who does that and does all the healings, the Pope and everybody invited, he doesn't know how to read or write either. And yet he can pull all of this here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. It's I'm humble and honored.
One last question, and
Yeah.
then we do lunch. We have lunch.
Okay, yes.
Thank you so much to both of you respectfully for being here with us, and I agree with Zainab and everyone's points that it's a privilege to have you here. I want to know that there's so many of us who have histories of being colonized, and every time that you face that reality, or you face a representative of that, how do you overlook it? How do you overlook knowing that someone has a history of colonization, and you live in a land that is a settler land, and how do you? It's an everyday struggle. So how do you overcome that?
How you overcome that? Just be yourself. It's like when I give answers, it's very simple answers. Don't try to complicate things too much. Be yourself. Love and respect everything around you. The people of the land, some of them will throw that energy at you. Oh, you're a white person. Oh, you're an Indian. Why are they doing that, right? Exactly. They threw that, my first marriage, that's why I broke up with her. She's a non-native person. And we will go to ceremonies together, and I will take her in everywhere. And then there will people there be like, oh, white people. Is how you react to that. That's what I said again to our sister over there. Our own traumas and pain makes us react a certain way. So somebody throws that at me, right? Example. You're like, oh, you lazy Indian. I'll be like, yeah, I am. Or somebody will throw out to me like all kinds of whatever. I'll be like, take that humble road. Not the higher road, but the humble road that I don't see myself above anyone. I don't see anybody below, underneath anyone. So then you realize then when you get to that place, they're hurt. That what they're projecting to you, it has nothing to do really with you. It's just them asking for help in a very way that they don't know how to communicate. We forget those things. What forget us about learning communication? This thing is one of the main guilty things to make us forget how to communicate to one another. Dang, teenagers are in the same room. Hey, what's up? And not even like, hey, what's up? It's like HWP or something, it's like, so those things, those attacks, those arrows, I like to always call them, is people's hurts, so I try to do that on my very best. Don't talk bad about people. And then we have to think about something. An order of doing all that is frequency, It's beautiful. You represent your people. Like when they say white people, it's not a race. It's a mentality. I see native people acting like white people. All the time. Selling our own land. I seen all kinds of different colors of people acting like white people. So it's not a race. Let's not make it about a race. It's about a consciousness. And then if we're thinking about consciousness, we're thinking about vibration. Energy. Because if you look at the core of us, again, I'm gonna bring it to that place of like, because I work with scientists and all of those kind of things. I feed ayahuasca, I conduct ayahuasca ceremonies, and I feed ayahuasca to scientists itself, Here, have some of that. Try it out, And then when you look at it, atomic level, of what we are, like beyond just DNA, even smaller than that, of what really creates us. Here they portray like little bubbles of red and white and connected by little sticks in between. But they're not little bubbles. What those are, a light. It's light. When you look at it right into it, all of those little things that create hydrogen, water and all that, is just light particles. And what those light particles are doing, they're vibrating like so fast that boom, it creates. So now if you want to bring it to that chemical level, that's what it is. It's just pure light. You know, so when you think about it like that, you cannot bring it to a race thing. So what we just did here, this work, is our choices, our thoughts, our decisions. We all tuning in into the greatest purpose. We all on the same frequency. The questions, you know, you guys have those thoughts already. You guys have those willing things to do already. You guys want to make a better world, a radical change. So we cannot think about it as that. So we have to have that compassion again. You know, it was like somebody's yelling or something or doing that. Just humble. Because in humility, there's a lot of power. So then power is like they were talking about power, something you, like it's infinite. So like somebody will say that, and I'm like, okay. Because if I reacted in my own trauma ways with the same energy they throw at me knowing that that will hurt that person and but create even more of an issue. So I want to dissipate that. So somebody will throw something at me, I'll be like, oh wow, yeah, that's right. I need to work on myself. You know, when I started working for treatment centers, I light up the sweat lodge fire. I said, humble here, helping the people, humble here. And I was having to go through a rough patch, you know. And then I humble. And I said, Creator, I'm messed up right now. I need help. That's what you brought me to a treatment center. Put a match, it lit up. It gave me the help. So humility is something that comes from a place where you don't hold any negative for yourself. Because you understand yourself being part of something really big and not being at the top of it. You know? So when you look at humanity like that, it's like, oh man. Another example to deal with that, say you go in the forest. Boom, there's a grizzly bear. You humble yourself right out. That humility comes really quick. You know? Because that bear will throw that energy of like, oh, I'm the boss, what are you doing in my home? And what, you're gonna go, who you think you are, man? No, you go, oh, I'm so sorry, yes, you're right. And that humility, that animal will see that. And be like, right on, you know your place, yeah, it is. Here, have some offering tobacco, you know. Please let me leave, I'm so grateful. You have that power to take life away of me, you know. Humble. And I have encountered those things. Humility never seemed so real. You know, so that's another example to answer a little bit of that, you know. When you face that is like facing this grizzly bear in the forest. What are you gonna do? React the same way? I don't know, no. I'm out, you know. Deflected, not deflected. Is you take it and you feel that power, but yet you don't react the same way.
Everyone, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Joaquin.
Yeah.
Thank you for your wisdom and your teachings. And I have a small gift for you for coming here.
Sauces, look
And
at.
I have a couple of things for this one is
We're half the class.